Good morning, good peoples. It's Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. Back at you before the market opens here, your Monday morning with comparison of many funds. I'll be comparing Roundhill, Yieldmax, Defiance, Granite, Tap Alpha, Neos, um, iShares. And for this set, I'm going to go through comparing the SPY, right, the S&P 500 income funds. If somebody only pays like once a year or something, I'm going to ignore them. This is tended to be high income. I think in one of these three, I have somebody that pays quarterly that performs pretty well. But other than that, they're monthly or weekly. And also, Defiance has filed for three different funds, but I just listed this SOI in the spider. This will be fascinating. They want to pay 2 days a week, and they've got three different funds. I think not all are the index funds, but clearly the S&P 500 is. I have the list somewhere in another sheet, but I just thought I would throw it in to remind you guys that is something coming. So people start saying, hey, can we get paid daily? Well, you just take the weeklies and distribute them, right? So I just gave you a portfolio of Monday through Friday that I thought were really pretty good picks. Like the Monday, you're limited. There's only two funds, I think Blocks and Maggie, that pay on Monday, but there's a lot for Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday. Tuesday probably being the second hardest day. Well, not really with Round Hill doing a bunch of their single stocks on that. All right, let's jump in here to this. It's using typical format for me with some slight changes, so I'll point that out. I tried to just color code some of these, and I always have the index here. So you can see in this situation, I ended up with a sort, which is kind of tied to the winners down here. So as I do other sorts to explain stuff, who won different categories, this will get skewed. And then the last thing I do, I'll return it back to total return, and all these fields will work. So let me explain who won in total return and then back through some other things. So the Neo Spy Eye, okay, was the winner. It's not a fabulous return. And all of these three indexes, the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the Spider, S&P 500, they're all February 26th. There's only one fund in here, I think R. Diddy from Yieldmax, that's 130 days instead of 138 days. So this was a date that allowed me to go back and get everybody to be the same, which I want to start doing. So when I have a real short new fund, I'll show everybody with the short new fund, and then I'll show all the funds, say the 226 date. So I'll give you both so you can really see. Otherwise, it skews it and makes a newbie, if they hit a real upstream, all of their data, but only makes that big up move a small slice in everybody else's. So it's not really apples to apples that way. So, as you often hear, the spider itself, right, State Street SPY fund, which doesn't pay any income, won this because everybody else was down. This was a downturn period of time, but the spider, especially when you're paying income and you have to recover that. So they paid 1346. I ignore them in the winners down here, right? Always make the assumption if you want growth, just go out and buy the spider for if you like S&P 500. So Neos with 2.87, okay, where did it get the majority of it? It got a 10.33% annualized yield, okay? And that's the NAV loss. Where is distro annualized? Right here. 10.33. It by far was not the biggest yielder. These are in inverse order. It's funny, I ranked everything over here one way. Actually, that's not. completely got everybody because of one of the other sorts, I think, but this is okay. Um, so what happens here is you can see what pulls people down, except TSPY is clearly the third place fund. And I don't know, let me just go back. That this'll clear it. Yeah, this is how it actually was. And once I told you this data, then I can do some individual sorts and we won't worry about it. I don't know if I can hard code these with dollar sell. I might be able to. It was an afterthought to put these in and do some more things in here because I've got the filter turned on. So same thing, Spider 1, second place Spy I, which is really first place in counting. Then we have Spy T from Defiance. Well, what is Spy T? Well, Spy T is the targeted income fund. It pays monthly, not like the other Spy from Defiance, right? So they have WTTE, right? That is their S&P 500, and you can see that's middle of the pack. That would have been one, two, three, fourth place, and they always have a high NAV loss, right? They're not the top, but they're second to the top. Granite had the highest NAV loss with minus 55, but look at the annualized distribution. They also had the biggest here. So they ended up losing. So if you can ever find a period where Defiance isn't losing so much, they out yield everybody. Kind of what Yield Max did to Curve, but then Curve would beat them on the NAV erosion part, and like I said, 4 out of 6 funds Curve would win, and 2 out of 6 Yield Max would win. But in all honesty, Curve just didn't have the capital and didn't go into crypto and didn't have a Misty, didn't have a Coney. Really, I don't think they have Nvidia. I could be wrong. They're more the other Mag 7. Um, that and so curves are good funds. Curve is good funds, but they just don't have the the plethora of funds that you see in Yieldmax with 45, 50 funds. So interesting to look at the data, people. You guys are always asking me about this stuff. So in a down market, your targeted funds have a good chance of doing well. So it had a 21% yield and an 18% NAV loss, but it targets, at a 20% return. Well, it's not accomplishing that when the market's down. But say the market roars, it's probably only going to have a 20 or 25% run. So it's supposed to be your steady Eddie. In this sense, it did get it to third place, whereas the normal WDTE S&P 500 for Defiance was in fifth place. And if you remove the index, it's fourth. All right. So that, and then Tap Alpha is really good. If you go look at YouTube and type in CEO of Tap Alpha. I forget his name now. Really, really smart guy. He put his family through when he was going to college, and then he got married, and then he was working really hard and investing money and all that. And then ultimately, he got so good at working an algorithm to maximize selling covered calls on these indexes, he decided he got capital from some investors and he started a ETF fund family. So right now it's main one, but I hope to see others from him. It's a terrific fund. I mean, for him coming in third place, I think last time I did this, he was in second place. So he does better in up markets, slightly down markets, because he holds his NAV and he almost outpays everybody. Let's see what the yield was, 14.94. And it's certainly not the highest, but everybody else is doing 32 distro, 32 nav. He's doing 14.9. So he managed to be one of the 3 funds that were positive over this 4.5 months. That's not bad, guys. All right, let's go take a look at the Russell. and then we'll do the QQQs as the last. So again, I've got them denoted. That's what you guys care about, weekly and monthly. And here's this one fund in here quarterly, which actually had the second highest. But I have a little anomaly I want to share with you guys. So look at NEOS, right? They just came in here winning. Here they are in third, but I want to show you an example. When you go over here and you look, some of the people start having a July. Well, they pay monthly. So look at, they're always, 50 cents, 56, 55, 55. So if I did another 55, which is entirely likely, look what happens to them. They jump right to second place. They jump right by IWM. And not everybody has one down here, but very few other people. These guys pay quarterly, so they're not due till September. So non-issue for them, and they got 2 quarters and basically 4 months of payments. So that's really an advantage to them. So I really call NEOS as taking second place in this scenario. And since I've resorted this, I think it messed up these numbers. This 823, because their yield is really, the minute you sort this stuff, it messes this up. And IWM had, now let's see if if something, make sure everything's in order here. They launched 49.20. No, that doesn't. Let's see. Prior month, this month. So they're down about $3. That gain and loss is 549. Okay, that's about right on gain and loss 14. Okay, so they earned it right here. Yieldmax being Yieldmax. Um, Paid 33%. We only had Defiance pay more at 34 in the same period, but they had a 37% NAV loss, which is what Defiance is prone to. These guys, Yomax only had half that. So they only dropped 5%. They went from $49 to $46 over the 4.5 months. So annualized, that 5.49 becomes 1465. So clearly not a bad scenario. I think the takeaway here, other than that's good for Yieldmax winning one of these, is NEOS is second place in 2 funds. IWM won't really hold up. They got 2 quarters, which really should be a full 6 months and 4.5 months. It just had to do with the timing. Um, all right, let's go to the last one and see who's winning. Oh, look at this, Neos, second place. So I call Neos they got a first place, really a second place, and then another second place. Let's see, Defiance got a second place, not in that one, and a win. And this is their targeted fund. All right, let's just talk on comp. Okay, so let's do these before I start shifting things around so you can see where they get their numbers, right? This is annualized yield, annualized NAV. You add these two together, a positive 38 and a minus 29, you get a 9. So Defiance wins this one. That's good on them, right up at the top. And then Neos comes in second. Um, and then Defiance in their targeted comes in here. So really, Defiance stands out, but Neos to me wins this overall thing. You guys ask me a lot of times, and you've got other popular funds. You got JEPQ, you got GPIQ from Goldman. You got a lot of competition in here, right, in these funds. Now, this particular time, that February was a high, and then you went way down in April, and then you've come way back up in June and ahead of what the high was in February in July now. Not by a lot, but by enough. So this does give some winners more in the Qs. Not many. Well, yeah, that's a fair amount in the Russell, but look at the Spider. It's about half and half. All right, guys. So that's what I got here. I thought you would enjoy this. I'm going to plug this in and do a bunch of the MSTRs and NVIDIAs and BTCs and Teslas and coins. And, Palantir, there's not a lot yet doing it, but there will be. All right, guys, this is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. Have a great week this week. Go silver. It's been up more in the pre-market. Not a lot, but that's all right considering how much it moved on Friday. I'll take any. I was going to get a metals video out, but it may be another day before I get that. But it is coming, guys, especially you guys that are interested in that. All right, that's all I got for you. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Bye for now.